Welcome back to Quilting with Rulers. I'm Martha Higdon with Quilting by Martha. We're going to start with this first block here. You can see the piecing, I did it, is horrible. I cut off all my points, so I would not want to do in the ditch quilting because then that would accent that I cut off those points. So we're going to try something a little different on this one. I'm going to go ahead and do in the ditch. So this is the ditch ruler. I'm just going to outline this house. So I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to go around here. This is my house. This is in the ditch ruler. I have my ruler base on and I have my Surefoot on my Handy Quilter Fusion. I'm at 10 stitches per inch. I'm in precision mode and I'm going to do in the ditch. I'm in the needle down position, so when I stop, it stops in the needle down position. I am just outlining the house. Okay, so I already went around across the top. Notice I have used my blue marking pen here, and I have created a X in my block here. I'm going to trim those out of there. So I made a blue X. So now I'm going to use my new flipped rulers. You have 1 and 2. I have this smaller one. And we can come this way. And what we're going to do is we're going to line up that line on that line. And we're going to go all the way down. And we're going to travel back. And we're going to go all the way up this line. Okay. I probably could get by with the smaller one, or I have a larger one, flipped ruler, and I can definitely go all the way across both directions without any problem. By lining it up on that line there with the X that I just made with my marking tool, it keeps everything equally spaced and then allows them to be the same all the way across. So I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to come across the top first. I have a blue painter's tape so that I'm on there is a straight line, a dotted line, and another straight line. So I am going to line it up on the dotted line because that's what gives me my curve. And I curve, move it up. So I'm lining up the straight line here, and I'm also lining up the dotted line so that I get my curve. This is called a curved crosshatch. A crosshatch is beautiful if you have some applique, a straight line crosshatch, but with straight lines, it draws your eye to it. With curved crosshatch, it doesn't really draw your eye to it. It looks a little more free motion, a little more free flowing, I mean. And then, so your eye won't be drawn to all my points that I cut off. So this is called a curved crosshatch. I'm just going back and forth using my ruler to move across my piece in the ditch line. I'm going to line up my line on that blue marking. And then I'm going to line up, sorry, I overshot it just a little bit. I'm going to go back. I'm going to line up the dotted line on the curve so that it creates my curved crosshatch. This probably would have been easier if I had come in from this direction, but with the video coming in this way, I thought maybe we should come this direction. So we're going to line it up, overshot it again, come back around. We're going to go all the way across. Lining it up. So you want to apply as much pressure as you can on the ruler so it doesn't bounce up. I'm pushing into the ruler base and I'm pulling the machine to the ruler. Line it up again. Line it up again. I'm lining up 2 areas, the straight line and the dotted line, so that my curves are the same, equally spaced. Again, I'm probably a little farther in my throat space than I need to be. Normally I like to quilt right here in the throat space, and so I'm not reaching as far. And then you have to do what feels comfortable to you with the rulers. When you're using them, you don't have to worry about videotaping it. I love curved crosshatch. I think it's fun. It's free flowing, so it's not drawing your eye. I got off just a little bit, but I'm already here going this direction, so I can't change the direction. So I'll travel down until I can make the curve, lining up the straight line here, my marking, the dotted line for the curve. When I come across the other side, I'll make sure it's a little more comfortable for me. Gonna travel across. I'm always traveling in the ditch. I'm gonna line up that line in the center, the dotted line on the curve. Again, moving the ruler, lining up the line and the dotted lines. So go back just a little bit. Remember that the needle is 1/4 inch away from where the ruler is going to hit. So it looks like I ended up there, so I have one direction finished. Now I'm going to come back on the blue cross that I had. So I think it would be easier for me to come this direction. So I'm going to take my in the ditch ruler and travel across to my other point. Remember the cross in the front. Again, I'm going to line up that line, and then there's a dotted line. There's only one dotted line. Notice it's got two sides. I can use either side, but I'm using the outside. So I line it up, come out of that spot just a hair, line it up for the first one, move it, line it up, using the ruler to travel up, keeping your line on the blue marking and the dotted line for the curve. Whoops, I got off just a little bit on that one. I'm going to have to probably rip that out, or I'll probably just leave it. Again, going up and around. Rulers are not fast, and I'm trying to make it fast. Line up my two markings, my center, and my dotted lines. Okay. The straight line here is what keeps the crosshatch, and then the dotted line is what keeps them equally spaced. Again, lining up the two marks, pulling the machine into the ruler, pushing it down onto the ruler base. Here I'm going to have to travel up on the house in the ditch to come back. Got to go a little bit more. We're lining up the dotted line for the curve to be equally spaced, and I'm lining up the straight line to keep the crisscross. That lets me know I probably have something on one of my wheels that I'll have to get fixed. You'll know real easy if your wheels or your track needs to be clean. If you have a spot that wants to click, it's probably something in the wheels and track. So we move up here. That'll be the last one. Now you can see the beautiful curved crosshatch. Because of the blue marking, it's water, so all I have to do is spray it and the blue markings will go away. So the marking won't stay there. But you can see the beautiful design takes away, so your eye isn't drawn to the fact that my points are missing or cut off. Now you're drawn to the curved crosshatch. Okay, and those are the flipped rulers. They come in 2 sizes, small and large, to sit your blocks. Okay, then we're going to talk about the Mini Scallop Ruler next. So the Mini Scallop Ruler, because we're going to put a roof on our house, and this is the Mini Scallop Ruler. Also notice that it has a dual purpose. This side is straight, so you can do your straight edge, and it's also in the ditch. We have an in the ditch ruler, and it's one size, so the scallop ruler is a little bit longer. So you're getting 2 rulers for one here on the scallop, and it's a little bit longer. So both of them work great. It's to your preference. So here we could use this one for in the ditch, and now we're going to put a roof on the house. Notice that mine has the dots, handy grips on the back of this ruler. There's 2. I have little markings on my ruler just because I travel with my rulers, and so I know those are mine. But if you would get a brand new ruler, it comes with the plastic. You take the plastic off, and this is what your ruler looks like. There's no markings, no grips, so you have to put the grips on them yourself. On the back, you can feel there's a little bit of a grip, so maybe you need to put them on, maybe you don't. Sometimes I'll use the ruler first before I add, and then sometimes I'll keep adding more because I feel like it needs it. Notice it's got markings. You have straight lines, and you also have dotted lines, and that helps you keep everything straight. I always keep the package that it comes in. On the back of this package, you see this beautiful house, and it's got the roof. So if you buy a ruler and you can't remember how to use it, I just tell you to go to YouTube and type in the HQ Mini Scallop Ruler, and there will be a video on there of how to use that. So right now I'm going to put the roof on our house here. So I am going to line it up. I'm going to go off to the side a little bit up so that my first roof, I'm going to line up the line on the ruler with the piecing of the line. And I'm going to apply pressure down on the ruler to the ruler base, and I'm going to pull the machine across in each of those holes to create a roof. So it's just a nice little glide going in and out, in and out, in and out. Notice that I'm out of space here, but my roof isn't completely done. So I'm going to have to scoot it over just a little bit, and I needed one more. So I'll keep it lined up, the straight line with the piecing, and then finish up with one more. Okay, and then I'm going to travel up. And now I am going to refer back to the picture, and it looks like that it is called a clamshell. So it's going to be across, and then I have to do half. So the first row is full across, the next is half. Notice on this one it looks like they came from the other side and came straight down. So what I'll do is I'll line it up halfway now, where half of my curve is going to hit at each of those clamshells. This is so easy. Again, I didn't make it all the way across. I'm going to line it up and up. Then I come back up, the piecing. Now I am going to, looks like I did not hit the centers. So I could bring the ruler down a little bit if I wanted to make sure I hit onto the line of the clamshell, lining it up. But since the first row didn't, we'll just stay with it. Then we're just a little bit more. So we will line it up and come up. We're going to piece, go in the piecing line to get the next line. Then we're going to line it up again. Okay, and then we come back across, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Go up the crossing. Now, as you travel up, I could have traveled up using the in the ditch ruler so that it stayed right on it. I line up the next row, go in, maybe hesitate at each one. This time I'll use the other side of the ruler to travel so that I'm staying right in my ditch. Try to line it up here. I went too far, so I have to come back down. I'm gonna line it up where it falls alternating. So maybe have room for one more. And we'll alternate it and come off without going outside of our roof. Okay, so there is the roof on this house for this one. So we have looked at the flip side rulers to do curved cross hatching. We did in the ditch, and we also did the Mini Scallop Ruler, which is also in the ditch and scalloping to put the roof on your house. We used a marking tool to put the X in the center, because without that X, I don't have anything to line up my curved crosshatch, my flip rulers, to create the curved crosshatch. So again, we learned a lot. We stayed in the ditch. Thread color could be an important thing to think about. I just used a beige brownish to bring it in, but if you can look here, the curved crosshatch, your eye is drawn to more where I did the hiccup more than it is the piecing is cut off. So we'll have to think about whether or not this needs any quilting in it. I usually have a rule that if it's less than an inch, I don't need any quilting in it. So I'll decide later whether I want to add more into this house. Again, I have my chimney over here. So I don't want to forget about my chimney, so I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to, in the ditch, around my chimney. And because the fabric itself has some lines in it, I think I'm just going to go ahead and add a few lines. And come across and just add a line so that looks like the chimney has a chimney inside of it. So I'm using the lines in the fabric. And I do try not to have to do a lot of tie-offs. I do not enjoy tie-offs. So with rulers, sometimes there's a lot more start and stops because now I'm finished with this area. I still have my sashings, which I got to figure out later what I want to do. But right now I'm working on the houses. So what I normally try to do when I load my quilt, I'll start with the borders and the corners first, and then I'll come down my throat space as much as I can on both sides, and then I start in the block. So I don't like to roll back and forth, so I try to start at the top because it's on my frame and work myself through the quilt. I do try to do a little bit of pre-planning because you're going to have to know which rulers to use, how it's going to look. And for some pre-planning, I can use Quilter's Preview paper, which looks like this. It comes on a roll, and then you can place it on there and then use dry erase markers. You have to remember to take into account that your needle is a 1/4 inch away from where it's going to hit on the ruler. So when you are designing, you'll need to take into consideration. They have little discs that you can buy for your pens so that you can mimic, audition the way the quilting is going to lay out. What I like to say is I love rulers, but sometimes I don't know how to apply the ruler. So this is kind of why I like to show how I would use it on a quilt. I do know how to use the rulers, but sometimes I don't know when to put that ruler with what design. I think we probably all have that issue of, okay, now what do we do? I have these rulers, how do I apply them? So we'll see how this works here on this one, and then we'll move over to the next house for the next video. Thank you, and happy quilting with rulers.